Melania's book has come out, and it has some major revelations of huge disagreements that she has with her husband, Donald Trump. Could this have any impact on the 2024 presidential election? Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks broke all this down. We're going to take a look at clips of Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks. I will share my thoughts from time to time. This is an incredibly interesting story. Let's get into it.
So I said to our great First Lady, who can draw a crowd? Did you watch me tonight on television, First Lady? People love our First Lady out there. Right? Go out and get a book. She just wrote a book. I hope she said good things about it. I don't know. I didn't. So busy. She just wrote a book called Melania. Go out and buy it. It's great. And if she says bad things about me, I'll call you all up and I'll say, don't buy it. Get rid of it.
Well, even though Donald Trump has not read his wife's book, reporters have started to get their hands on some early copies for review, of course. And one of the major bombshells in her book is the fact that she totally disagrees with Republicans when it comes to abortion and reproductive rights. Now, in her book, which comes out next week, the former First Lady wrote the following. Here are some important excerpts. It is imperative to guarantee that women have autonomy in deciding their preference of having children based on their own convictions, free from any intervention or pressure from the government. Why should anyone other than the woman herself have the power to determine what she does with her own body? A woman's fundamental right of individual liberty to her own life grants her the authority to terminate her pregnancy if she wishes. This is very strong language. It's amazing, but there's more. Restricting a woman's right to choose whether to terminate an unwanted pregnancy is the same as denying her control over her body. I have carried this belief with me throughout my entire adult life, which is an interesting admission considering her husband appointed the 3 Supreme Court justices who helped in overturning Roe v. Wade, which of course granted reproductive rights to women all across the country, regardless of which state they lived in. But as we know, following the reversal of Roe v. Wade, many red states decided to either effectively ban abortion or make it so restricted that it's incredibly difficult to get one if you are legally able to do so.
Yeah, and he brags about it. He says all the time, I'm the one who got rid of Roe v. Wade. Now he realizes it's unpopular, so he's doing this hilarious evasions. And he says, well, you know what? I wouldn't necessarily sign a national ban on abortion. So would you veto it? Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you.
So I'm gonna get to his response to all of this in just a second. But before I do, I just want to let you all know that, after this was reported about where she stands on the topic of abortion, she decided maybe this is not good for my husband's, political career. Maybe I should back down. Except no, she didn't do that. She decided to double down in a promotional video for her book. Let's watch.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth, individual freedom. What does my body, my choice really mean?
The first thing that I'm struck by with this promo with Melania is how weird it is. Like this, what's up with this weird lighting and the black and white and everything? It's kind of, it reminds me of those, I don't know if they do them anymore, but like those Calvin Klein perfume ads that they used to do, or I don't know if it was Calvin Klein or not, but it's just so bizarre. But Melania, what's really amazing about this is she is speaking about abortion in much stronger terms than a lot of Democrats who are supposedly pro-choice do. I mean, her language here, I mean, she is making no bones about this at all. She's coming out and saying exactly what she believes and not being wishy-washy about it at all.
And she also provided a pretty lengthy list of legitimate reasons for a woman to choose to have an abortion, including danger to the life of the mother, rape and incest, congenital birth defects, other medical conditions, and she defended late-stage abortions as well.
Wow.
So she says that it is important to note that historically, most abortions conducted during the later stages of pregnancy were the result of severe fetal abnormalities that probably would have led to the death or stillbirth of the child, perhaps even the death of the mother.
She's absolutely right about that.
She is right about that. I mean, yes, absolutely. Like, thank you. Thank you for writing about this, and thank you for drawing attention to it. These cases are extremely rare and typically occurred after several consultations between the woman and her doctor. As a community, we should embrace these common sense standards. Again, timing matters. And look, she's a little bit more moderate, noting that parental consent is important to her in certain cases. So she writes that when confronted with an unexpected pregnancy, young women frequently, I mean, in this case, it would be people who are girls who are underage, frequently experience feelings of isolation and significant stress. I, like most Americans, am in favor of the requirement that juveniles obtain parental consent before undergoing an abortion. I realize this may not always be possible. And then she says, our next generation must be provided with knowledge, security, safety, and solace, and the cultural stigma associated with abortion must be lifted.
Yeah, and if her husband is elected, that will not happen. So this is unprecedented. In my lifetime, I have never seen the wife of a presidential candidate or a former first lady say, I disagree with my husband, he's totally wrong on this issue. And this is not a minor issue. This is one of the largest issues of this entire campaign. And she's basically saying, if you care about this issue, don't vote for my husband. So that is unreal. If Doug Emhoff and came out and said, I disagree with Kamala Harris on immigration, I just think her position on it is wrong, people would be like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge.
Right.
And look, there historically speaking, there were examples of, the first lady disagreeing with her husband on certain policies, right? So, FDR is a good example. FDR's wife wanted equality for Black Americans and was pushing really hard for it. And so that was the area where, FDR was failing, in my opinion, right? Even though he did some wonderful things as well. And so it's not unheard of, but in this case, it feels kind of unheard of because it's Trump, right? When it comes to Trump, he's the kind of guy who expects complete loyalty. And this is his wife, basically publicly announcing that she disagrees with him on the topic of abortion and also immigration, by the way.
Okay, one second. And thank you for clarifying. I meant unprecedented in our lifetimes. Yes, if you go back far enough, it's happened before. But usually when someone disagrees with Trump, he goes, we're not winning with Melania. So he's probably regretting not having read the book or not being able to read. But so now I'm super curious whether he's going to attack his own wife. And if he does, though, I guarantee you all of MAGA will be like, well, of course, you got to attack the first lady. I mean, just getting along with the first lady makes no sense. You have to well, I almost said hang. I'm sorry, that's his vice president. But you have to hate her or something. But of course, as Anna's about to explain to you, they're all pretending that they're pro-choice or something. And pro-life at the same time. Well, and maybe on Planet MAGA that's possible.
Now, I think Cenk Uygur is correct with what he's saying here, and you have to wonder what the strategy is with Melania. Is this an October surprise by Melania? Is she trying to keep Donald Trump from getting elected because she doesn't want women's rights to be harmed even more than they already were in the first term of Donald Trump? And the one thing about this that's so interesting is I don't believe that being anti-abortion is an actual belief of Donald Trump. This idea that he's this devout Christian, he's just adopted that stance to appeal to evangelicals and other Christians that have, bought into all of his lies. But I don't think he actually really believes this. Now, I'm sure he doesn't care either. What does he care if women aren't able to have abortions anymore? He does understand that this is a losing proposition for him. And ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned, that has had a negative impact on him in terms of being reelected. But I don't think he actually is pro-life or anti-abortion. But you have to wonder what Melania's game plan is with this. This is very interesting, I think.
All right, so look, about a day before before all this news came out, apparently Donald Trump had posted something on social media and made it clear that he is not in favor of supporting a federal abortion ban. Everyone knows I would not support a federal abortion ban under any circumstance and would, in fact, veto it because it is up to the states to decide based on the will of their voters. Okay, so let's pause for a second. There's a part of me, and it is the cynical, suspicious part of me that thinks, was this all meant to soften Donald Trump's image on abortion because it has been such a political liability for himself and the Republican Party?
I'm not sure Donald and Melania Trump even talk. I mean, like if it was part of a plan, why did he say the thing that we're showing you there where he's like, I haven't read it, and if there's anything bad in it, then I will tell you not to buy the book?
Yeah, you know what? The fact that she was willing to push back on immigration leads me to, because Trump is actually polling really well on that topic. He's beating Kamala Harris on that topic, right? And that is one of the priorities or concerns of the electorate right now. And so to have her come in and write in her book that she was pressuring Trump to end some of his immigration policies, that's not gonna help him necessarily with the election. So yeah, I think this is what she genuinely believes. And she also says, I don't publicly debate my husband on these issues, but privately, I'm applying pressure so he can kind of change course. Obviously, that has not been successful, but just really interesting dynamic taking place here.
Yeah, guys, look, they're a dumpster fire. And if this happened to any other candidate, it would be the most shocking thing you've ever seen. But we're so used to the raging dumpster fire that we're like, oh, the candidate didn't read his own wife's book, and apparently neither did anybody else on the campaign. So they get, blindsided by her saying he's wrong on immigration and he's wrong on abortion, and then we're like thinking, well, is this some sort of grand strategy? It's not a grand strategy. It's a dumpster fire. That's what it is.
I mean, maybe Cenk Uygur's right that that this isn't Melania sending any kind of message or anything to just be like, hey, my husband is terrible on a whole lot of things, but he's terrible on abortion, women's rights, and immigration. And like Cenk Uygur says, the whole, everything around Donald Trump is a dumpster fire. But it's all pretty fascinating because we've never really heard much at all, if anything, from Melania in terms of what her actual political beliefs are. And to have this, again, I don't know if anybody else is calling it October surprise, but to me it's surprising for this book from Melania to come out so soon before the election with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris engaged in this incredibly close race, if you're to believe the polls and the news media. And you have to wonder if there'll be any fallout from this. I mean, like Cenk Uygur was saying, imagine if Donald Trump comes out and bashes his own wife and says, don't listen to what she's saying, she's wrong, or don't buy her book. I mean, that would just be absolutely insane. But what do you think about this? Is this shocking news to you? And let me know in the comments, what do you think Melania's thinking was here? Is she trying to sabotage Donald Trump's election? I mean, that would be, imagine the follow-up book. If Donald Trump loses, maybe they would get divorced or something, and she would come out and say, yeah, I purposely sabotaged my husband's presidential campaign because I knew that he was a monster and he is terrible for women and immigrants. Maybe wishful thinking, I don't know. But what do you think about what Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian laid out here? Like I said, with Anna talking about the strong language by Melania, it's much stronger language. I mean, have we heard anything like this from Joe Biden? And I mean, a lot of other Democrats won't be this strong in their support of abortion rights. It's really, really, it's amazing to me. Make sure to give me a comment about this, about Anna Kasparian, Melania, Donald Trump, Cenk Uygur, anything that you'd like to comment about. I love to read your comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm closing in on 25,000 subscribers, and it's due to your comments and your likes and subscribes. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so I can continue to grow the channel and bring out more content like this. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next one.